I want to start out, I think I'm going to ask you some questions, and in a sense they're rhetorical because I'm not asking you to answer them for me. Okay, these are for you to answer in here.
I forgot paper. I was looking for some. Their mom said she'd give me a couple pieces. Not that.
No, that one. One up anymore.
Do you have something to write with? I just want you to think about what is your current relationship with the all in all. Now, when I say that, you had to go into your frontal lobes. You had to think about it. I want to know, you think about how much time do I spend putting my attention there?
How much time do I spend?
Putting my attention there.
Okay.
And you need to know it's as easy as the moment you think about the all in all, your attention is there. It's not something you have to get on your knees and beg and go through some scenario or some ritual. The moment you shift your consciousness, you're there. But ask yourself, how many times does that happen during the day? Okay. And when I do, what am I doing? Am I asking for something? Am I upset? Is it a time of need? Or is it just to show affection? Appreciation. It's like I used the example, Casey was my example over at Charities. No, I did it there. I said, let's pretend Charity is the omnipotent, all-knowing. Or not Charity, it was Casey. The omnipotent, all-knowing, all in all. And she's sitting in the room, or it's sitting in the room. But all we do is talk about it. How would the all in all feel, you know? I mean, how would you feel if you walked in this door a little bit ago, no one greeted you, no one said a word to you, and you sit down, or you don't have to sit down, you're everywhere. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And actually no one for the whole time does anything but talk about you. And it's like they almost going, hey, I'm in here, I'm in the room. I'm trying to rewire your brain. I'm trying to shift your consciousness to a relationship, to a real being. Are you following me? So I can feel it right now. We're just doing that. See, anytime you do that, and appreciation, you're entering the Holy of Holies. You're lifting the veil, you're removing your ego, you know, and that's all you got to do. Now, Joe teaches, his teaching about meditation, and many times I feel like we think that we have to sit down and turn on music and, get in the mood, or, listen to my favorite meditation song.
Can I just really point out a point?
Yes.
You said we think we have to turn on music or do
Right.
something like this. Or we can provide avenues like chimes for spirit to say, ding, 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 ding.
Well, that's true.
Because it went off. As soon as you said that, they went,
Did they really?
I'm here already. You don't need to turn that on.
That's cool. So it did do that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm conscious of that because I have 3
awareness.
Wind chimes at my house, and I get messages from them all the time.
Okay.
Because I'm
Well,
conscious,
and like we talked-
I expect it because
Right.
I talk to my house.
And there you go. See, I'm
I have a
literally
relationship
walking.
with my house.
I'm literally walking through my house all the time talking. Like some people would say, you always talk to yourself, you know. Well, actually, yes, that is myself. That I'm one with, yeah.
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 So,
That's what I do too.
and again, the reason I'm doing this is, as Joe has pointed out, and I knew this from the other brain research before I heard him say it, 95% of the time you're in your programming. So that means if you're conscious 5% of the time, how much of that 5% are you acknowledging the all in all? See. Now I'm just bringing that to your awareness. I'm not bringing it to your awareness for condemnation or judgment. I just want to make you aware. You know, you can't hurt its feelings because love never notices when it's done wrong. Remember chapter 13, Corinthians 13? It doesn't notice. See, perfect love is just sitting back waiting on you. And just there all the time with no judgment. Isn't that wonderful? But do you really believe that too? That's my next question.
Yes.
Do you really believe in the presence, omnipresence, in you, with you, and all around you? Because obviously if you don't, you would never make the effort. Because you don't really believe the all-in-all is there. But again, I want to remind you something. Again, it's an amazing fact. What I just said earlier. Think about this. The population on our planet, the whole world, spends 95% of their time in their programming. Five percent of the time in present consciousness. And I'm sorry, and also that programming, 70% of that is in stress mode. Constant stress mode. Which means you have taken the sphere of your electromagnetic field from 9 meters. When you're talking to the all in all, it goes out big. Because it's omnipresent, isn't it? So think about it. If you're contacting the all in all, your conscious is omnipresent then. Because your conscious is one with it. So that moment, you're omnipresent. But if you're the other way, 5% of the time, 5% of the time you're aware, but you're not necessarily aware of that. Think about that. It's no wonder the world's in chaos. Now, like we talked about at Charity's house, I'm not going to condemn anybody for it, though. I'm just stating a fact. Because I have been programmed, too. Everybody's been programmed. And as, who was it that asked me about it being original sin? Who's the school teacher? The teacher, the music, Catherine. Yeah. Because we got talking about it, and I said, yes, that's the definition. When you were growing up, when you were programmed in the theta state, you had no choice. You inherited all your belief systems without any filter, without any choice. And you were programmed. Since you had no choice in it, you have no responsibility. Now, I got to thinking about this. Well, if my mom and dad did that to me, where did they get their program? Oh, their mom and dad. And then where did they get their program? Oh, are you following me?
And just like computers, they're outdated programs.
Well,
There are outdated programs.
Actually, yes. But my point is, too, in 1990s was the very first time we became aware that we were programmed. 1990s. In other words, up to that point, it would be an extremely rare occasion for someone to be conscious, unless there's someone like a monk, someone, a shaman,
A philosopher.
yeah, a philosopher, people that go into their frontal lobes and think about things like Aristotle, and but the majority of the population is not like Aristotle. They're not like they're in their programming, see. So my point is this, I'm thinking, it's easy to love them. See, they don't have responsibility. Even the worst serial killer doesn't. I know that may be hard for you to accept. Even the worst abuser. See, as soon as you lose the emotional energy that ties you to that experience, but the only way I can do that is what? Forgive. Yeah. Does that make sense? Wonderful. So, if your buttons, like we talked about, your emotions are the buttons. If it's still there, still got a button. That's how you can tell if you're still programmed in that particular situation. But my point is also, everybody in the world, the worst serial killer, the worst abuser, they had no choice. Now, when does the choice come? When do you think the choice comes?
And then knowing that there was
Knowing that they were programmed.
Yeah.
How many people know that? How many people you think really know the program? I know about 6 here. And then the ones Joe talks about, or talks to, and. But I tell people about this stuff all the time. They're going, "You're crazy," or "What are you talking about?" And they've never heard of the brain research. I'm not talking about New Age stuff.
Or conspiracy.
I'm talking about real science that was proven in the 1990s, a decade of the brain. Before Joe came along, I learned all this stuff. And I didn't see it in the psychology books till 15, 20 years later. Or 15 years later. So, you can let go. Quit watching the frickin' news. Stop watching all the negative news. They're all programmed. And if you're sitting there watching it and getting emotional, they're pushing your buttons. And they're pulling you right back in. I'm serious. I got pulled in about 2 years ago with all this election stuff. I've been out for 3 months now. Never going back. So even you can be aware and still get pulled back in. But now, am I going to condemn myself? No. Because I know that all in all that's right here is it's just waiting for me to come back. See, just come on back. You can always come back. No conditions. And I'm going to start crying thinking about this, but when I was a kid, going away to school, I was rebellious and I did some things, not bad things, smoking pot and in college. And I never was a criminal, except for, I guess that was illegal, but, and I did my drinking and partying and all that stuff. I never hurt anybody. But my mom could tell I was rebelling. But I'll never forget this. She sat me down and she said, "Your father and I don't agree with what you're doing, but we will always love you. And that you can always come home." Phew. It was like, and she said my dad wanted to just let me have it. But she says, "I was afraid you'd leave and never come back." Now, do you see what God's like? I thought, see, my mom showed me what God's like. She showed me what God's like. Whew. And so, in my heart, I always know if I make mistakes, go back to my programming, or get reprogrammed badly again, there's always total forgiveness and love. Mm-hmm. It's pure, unadulterated. Just read 13th chapter, of 1 Corinthians. Love conquers all. So, again, I wasn't planning on doing all this, but
I think it was perfect.
But the first thing we have to, and I do this every day now. I'm more aware of it now in the last month or so because I've made myself more aware of it. I was telling charities at Charity House. Now I've got myself programmed the last few weeks now. I literally every morning before my foot hits the floor, I acknowledge the all in all. You know, and tell it I love it. You know, thank you for. I just go into all my. It's like I got all these scriptures. It's, thank you for supplying all my needs. You know, I'm abiding in the shelter of your, you know, under the wing of the Almighty, and you know, thank you for protecting me and keeping me safe. And I just go into all that and just say I'm thankful and I appreciate all that you do for me today, even before my foot hits the floor. Now, see, I didn't used to do that. No, first thing I did was check my phone. And then I had my 1 hour routine I did when I got downstairs. You know, kitty litter, done kitty litter, and get my coffee ready, and do my filtered water thing if it needs to be changed. I literally set a clock, you know, for things that I had to get done, or, you know, and that was the first thing every time. Then I'd get my, you know, coffee, and I'd get off. Then I'd finally sit down, and then, now this is about 2 or 3 months ago, but when I sat down to my computer, first thing I checked was Facebook, email, you know, whatever, but I was into all that. And then maybe after I've been up for 2 or 3 hours, then I finally, you know, started maybe reading a book or studying, but I still haven't really gotten in contact with the all in all yet. And it's just brought back so many memories of the past when I was writing my music and I was getting up at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning before school, and I did an hour. Remember how I talked about doing the hour in the morning? And that was always first as soon as I got up. I got up, put my music on, and started praising the Lord, dancing around my room, dancing around my living room. Now, when I got away from the Christian religion, it's like I threw the baby out with the bathwater, you know. It's like, and then the science shows me that the Bible does have all the answers. Oh my gosh. Just everybody has, yeah, it's been translated wrong. It's got a totally wrong, come from a totally wrong perspective, but it's all there. And I keep seeing more. It's like I'm going crazy now. I woke up at 1 o'clock this morning, and my mind was racing. I'm making connections. So it's about creating our world and creating our reality on purpose. But now that I'm back in touch and not pushing that stuff away, it's just a treasure trove has come back to me that I'd thrown into the sea kind of thing, just got rid of it. And I knew it was true, but now I'm able to explain heaven and hell with it, and the science. Remember we talked about the vibrations, that vibrational table. It's unbelievable. It's all just ties all together now. And so I'm back. It's like, whew, you know, and I'm talking to the all in all when I say I'm back. I'm back. And it says, yeah, and I've always been here. So I just wanted you to, this is a self-examination thing, you know, for you. Because number one, why are you here to, well, that's number one, or did number one. Number two, why are you here today? I want you to ask yourself, why am I here?
Maybe for more deprogramming.
But what's your vision and goal for yourself in this? Is it just to, see, this is one of my problems I have with the New Age movement and the people that go to listen to people speak, and they pick one person. It seems like that's all they follow. And it's like worshiping somebody. But their lives never change. They just get high off of going to those things. They just get a good feeling and high. And I know the brain, I know why that happens. You have a homeostasis. The brain has a homeostasis, or an equilibrium, that the whole brain fights to maintain. So your current wiring is always fighting to maintain your current wiring. So if you haven't been rewired yet, you can get all high and excited in some meeting, But if you haven't rewired your brain, if it hasn't taken yet in here, you're going to float right back into your homeostasis equilibrium and go back where you were before. So my question is, are you ready to do that? I hope you're here, not to just listen and go back and be the same person, because you should be here for the purpose, as Joe puts it, you literally have to become someone else. Literally. A new personality to create your personal reality. Yes.
Okay, so I guess this would be an analogy. It's kind of like everybody is just raving about these B vitamin shots that they have to go and pay like $10 to $25 per B vitamin shot, and they have to make an appointment and all this other stuff, and they only get it like once a month or once a week or whatever. Whereas you can get B vitamins in food, you can get B vitamins in supplements, or you can change whatever's causing your lack of B vitamins, whatever. But you can go get those shots, or you can take the daily vitamin and not have the ups and downs of needing that one shot. So to me, because I've been looking at how I miss California because of the wonderful array of workshops and positive vibes and things you can do to create that feeling and then have that vibe to take it home. But nobody takes it home. That's the problem. Those people that don't take those things home and do their daily multivitamins are not feeding that, creating that new ritual to create that new mentality, to create those new neurotransmitters to have that experience constantly. So they're only getting those experiences in the honeymoon effect of those.
And that's exactly the good thing to call it. It's the honeymoon effect, you know. But yes, and but you know, I'm saying all this out of my own personal experience. I've been there. We all have. Nobody has not been there. You know, I don't care who they are and how far along or how spiritual or ascended they are. Everybody's been there. But that was one of my biggest things when I got into all of this when I started learning the brain science and started getting exposed to groups and talking to people. And I wasn't teaching yet, but just learning. And but that was one of my biggest things that I observed. And then I heard Joe talk about it. He goes off, literally says, you know, I want to talk and teach the people that are ready to change, not just listen, but are ready to make the changes, you know, make the powerful changes in their lives. Well, so
it's as if, Travis, you asked why
I'm listening
we were
to
here.
Yes.
It's like, and yes, I'm going to church again, but right now I'm looking at it as an observer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like even though they teach you biblical things, it's like you can never really be, like, it's here and you're here.
Right.
It's like you said, you used the word separateness, and I don't want that separation anymore. I want to go further with it. I want to be in it. I want to be immersed in it. I want to know all of it.
We probably should just forget about it.
So that's why I'm here. But sometimes I can't see it. I need to be introduced to it.
If we take a break later or something, when people go to the bathroom, we can try again. Let's just do that. And we'll I appreciate your time.
But yet I feel it. It's like it's right here, but it's like, okay, there.
We had it.
Everything just went right.
Yeah, because we
I
had
have felt it
You
ever
say it's a
since I was
sign.
a little girl through my great-grandmother.
I mean,
And,
you know,
but
when
yet
your
never was
machine went
told.
out, there was a knock. You didn't
I was
hear that,
never
right?
told. It's just
3
like
knocks.
it's
That was-
there. Okay, it's there.
Yes, it did. It did knock.
The force is in you.
Yeah, the force is in me. Let's bring it out.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and, because I can still do other things I want to do here.
Can you just show it on and turn it around?
Yeah, I could do
That's what I
that.
was going to say. We can see
Yeah,
it.
it's close enough we can actually do it that way.
Yeah.
This is something that we looked at Charity's house. It's such an eye-opening. That's research that Joe's done with his people that come to his seminar. I'll find the one that has this. There's 2 of them. Did you buy his book yet, Charity?
No, I've been dealing with other huge life challenges that I'm
That's
very
okay.
happy about.
That's okay.
Too.
All right. And I can bring this around a little bit to show you. First of all, I'm going to stand up. Charity, would you do me a favor and stand up? Come over here. Okay. Now, Joe has explained that when you're in your fight or flight, we actually have an electromagnetic field from our heart that goes. You've heard of the Heart Math Institute that's done this study. Literally, the most they have measured, the largest one, which I don't believe it's the largest. I don't think you can measure completely with the human instruments, but it will go out 9 meters in diameter, and a meter's a little over a yard. So we're talking, a big sphere, okay, of energy. But it's only that big when you're in the highest vibration. Okay? Now, when you go into your fear, fight, or flight mode, it goes down literally to 4 inches. You have left the field. You've left the field and gone completely here. And it has left your internal organs. Because when you're in fight or flight, all of the cortisone is going, everything's going, and this is a stress of any kind. This is stress at work, can be your mother-in-law, could be, and walked in the room, or anything. But you're literally, your immune system is not functioning correctly, your digestion's not functioning correctly, your heart's not functioning correctly. I mean, this is where 70%, the population spends 70% of the time is that small. But when you do have this sphere of influence, she has one and I have one. Well, we have an energy relationship. And he showed that, I might not get this term right, it's either 2 atoms make a molecule or 2 molecules make an atom.
2 atoms make a
That's what I thought, yes. But they have to share the same energy to bind. This is a scientific law. So, if we have an energy relationship, it looks like 2 intersecting spheres. Her sphere is intersecting with my sphere with that energy. And we're literally tied together because we're both experiencing that energy. So, that energy is not going to the field, it's going here. So if this is, let's say this is an enemy. Yep, it can be your enemy. And guess what your sphere is sharing with that sphere? Hate. Now, I'm not talking about you guys would do that. I'm just doing in general stuff. If it's an enemy, you could be doing that. If it's a best friend, it's your mom, your dad. It can also be your car. It can be your clothes. It can be, you have an energy relationship. When you have an emotional attachment, that's what it is, to anything. And that's energy that you're not using to create with. That.
And like each one of them, so kind of like a game that you can change the rules with.
Yeah, but the point is this. When you see this sphere, I'm going to just come around and show you, it literally shows like tons of things, and then it shows where they intersect, the two. So the energies are being combined, okay? Now, you're doing the same thing when you're watching television and you get angry about politics. Or you get upset about murders and rapes and, there goes your energy. Do you really think that changes anything? Yeah, it changes you. Doesn't change that situation.
Molecules of emotion.
Yes, yes. She remembers from our other seminar. Candace Pert, Dr. Candace Pert. Have you heard of Dr. Candace Pert?
And so it's like, that's what relationships are. You're going, I'm in this with you. Travis is one of my tribe. You all are my tribe. Because I trust you. I trust that I can talk with you in a way that I don't have to edit myself like I do out there.
You can cuss all you want.
So, well, and the thing is when I'm able to really, truly express myself how I want to, I don't have to cuss.
That's fine.
You know, it's when I can't find the way, or I just have so much behind it and haven't been able to express it that it's like, oh, I'm so glad I got to put that out there. Now that I've done that, I don't have to do that again.
They're all just descriptors.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But so I just wanted to say, because
It's wonderful. Beautiful.
because you're explaining
Yes.
this whole thing, and please, the thing that I have accepted, like you're saying, the God being, it's hard for me to go.
You're a potential Messiah. You are.
Don't be afraid of
You are. You are. Is that bad?
Those always come with a martyr or sacrificial ending in my what I've been taught.
But it doesn't have to be.
I have this since I was 13, 14, and I saw a distant thunder and a mark of the beast through a church. Oh, thank you so much for that brainwashing. And they said that the rapture was going to be all of these, people were going to be left that were the borderlines, that on the edge. They're almost good enough.
Just didn't quite make it.
That I, since a child, was asking, what about the ones that are on an island that never hear about Jesus? Why do they go to hell? I was asking those questions when I was really little.
So
and I mean, it's just... And so I've asked those questions all my life, and I've found answers all my life, and I've made judgments and deprogrammed so much of my life, and it's been hard for me to move home and live in an environment that isn't as open as would be comfortable, but that's okay because my journey is not about being totally comfortable. My journey is about helping people be more comfortable and opening up.
Yeah, you're needed here.
And so I went to Mount St. Francis during this beautiful time of the day yesterday, and there's this thing that was there that I've never noticed before. I don't know if it's new or not. But on one side it said service, and I'm just like, really? I'm exhausted. I am so freaking exhausted. I have suicide help requests. I have cancer. I have so many things that I am praying for people that I have knowledge that I could help. And I have so much that I have to give. That I only have so many days and I only have so many opportunities. And people are in my life that I can share all of this with. All of you can do that same thing if you choose to. But it's not always the funnest, easiest thing. You get a lot higher highs, but you have to hold the hands with the lower of the lowers. It's kind of that, it's that balance. Because you have to experience those lows in order to know how to get people to those highs. But you don't have to necessarily experience it all yourself, but through sharing stories and storytelling. And I'm realizing I'm a storyteller. I've got to stop denying that. I have it in my genes. And my view, and so I've apologized to Travis, but if I ever interrupt, and just ignore me if you want to, it's okay, but I just have a certain way of seeing things because of my journey, and Travis and it's like, I come in here today, I'm like, good Lord, was he studying my thoughts this week? And it's like he's my personal assistant doing all my research. You know, I told Alan, I'm like, you got to understand, Travis, it's like, I think it and he presents it. You know, and it's like, that's cool.
You know what I did?
She does it too.
You know what
Kelly's
I did?
really good at doing that.
But you know what I did yesterday? I said, I don't know what you want me to teach, so you know who's coming. You know who's coming. Okay? You know who's going to be there. So you just use me to say whatever they need to hear. And so you're just confirming that.
And so
what are you doing?
No 12 hours like walking around your house.
No, I still did that. No, I still did that. And I had fun. I still made all kinds of connections, and I still have a good time doing that.
Oh, okay.
But
I was thinking.
my thing is, there's so much of it
Yes.
that I get. Okay, which stuff do I do today?
Yes.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Well, it doesn't
And-
seem to matter.
But
does
no.
that's you're right. I
But
know.
the other side of the coin was, though I realized whatever they need. So I'm going to trust you. I'm going to surrender my ego of worrying about this and let you channel through me for whatever they need to hear. And so that's why the television.
Thank you. On so many levels, because he's right. Okay, this goes to here. Your body does shut down. You get all kinds of autoimmune is hot right now. Why? Those are the emerging people that are going to get this. They are stepping closer and closer to the veil, and when you get closer and closer to that lifting a veil and deprogramming, your body reacts. Your body, I have hives. I am allergic to the old way of life. I finally really had to wrap my head around it, and I have goosebumps all over my body right now. Because that is the first time that I have said it out loud. I've journaled about it. And it's not in a way that's in a negative way. It's still my choice. I can still eat. It won't kill me. It just makes me a little uncomfortable. A little irritated, a little something that I have to deal with. So I get to choose whether I want to live in that old way and experience the old programming, or if I want to go and be gluten-free and dairy-free and be my higher vibration and living in my happier, not so
And
affected
there's another round
space.
too. Like, if you're not done.
So I'm done.
I was gonna say, you have-
There was my impromptu presentation.
Thank you, Charity.
Did we do the thing that you needed me up here for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Was not what I expected, but whoa.
So go back for me to the two people with the 9 meters and go a little more into detail into that. Because I think I've missed out on something here. I mean, I know what you're saying,
Oh, it's okay.
Gosh,
but I don't know if I
would
know
never realize that.
if I got everything.
We have more.
We can sure get
So you're saying it just raises the vibration for the two, and
Well, here's what it is. It's whatever energy, and here's the key to all this that I finally. This is amazing. It's been with me all the time, but the magnification of my perception in the last 2 weeks is just crazy. And it's like redefining words that I've been using forever, but all of it is emotion.
right.
Emotion is the most powerful thing in the earth.
Because it's energy in motion.
Well, yes, and there's only two forces working here, and Joe explains it as in the electromagnetic field. The electro part is information, carries information. Like a television, signals going, bunches of them are going through this room right now. Did you know that? Radio signals going right through your body right now. Through everything here. And that's information. Isn't it? Isn't it carrying information like music or somebody talking or a picture that we can put on? It's all information, okay? But the other part of the electromagnetic field is the magnetic part, which is emotion. And emotion is what you, like I said earlier, the buttons that you're pushing. Now, to get back to your point, in a sense, I don't like the word law of attraction because it deals with time, and time is an illusion. But this is kind of like the law of attraction. See, if you are energizing an emotion that is like someone else is energizing an emotion,
Okay.
then you bind with them
Okay.
like two molecules
And distance.
or two atoms. Remind me again.
Okay, molecule of water is two hydrogen
Thank
and
you.
one
Okay.
oxygen.
Atoms. But that's what's happening. You're coming together, and that energy locks you together.
And
Okay.
since there's no time or distance, it
Now,
doesn't,
oh, good. I'm glad you keep going.
it doesn't matter where you are in proximity to that other energy.
Getting goosebumps.
You get it.
Okay, but listen
Right.
to this. Dad. Yeah, you just said something that needed to be brought up.
Okay.
Here it is. Now, this is major here. This is major. And we've already talked about this, but it didn't hit me until last night when I was up at 2 o'clock. Remember the story about Dr. Lipton's taking the cells,
Yes.
and he, removed them from the persons and put them over 40 miles away. And they were able to observe when they showed a person a picture that caused a what? Emotion, a reaction. The moment that happened in the lab, 40 miles, it was simultaneous, the reaction in the cells, every time. Now, here's what I want to explain in this, though. Our reality is bound by the speed of light. Once you break the speed of light, you go past the boundary of, and in this existence, you become energy. That's what Einstein proved, okay? But now think about this then. Then what did that emotion have to do to get to that other place? Where did it have to go?
It's already there.
Yeah, it did. It went into the field. It went into the oneness field. And immediately, see, are you following what I'm saying here?
So basically, it just translated.
Well, my point is this. It went into the field of all possibilities.
Yeah.
So what does emotion do? I just told you. If you want to go into the field of all possibilities, when do you do it? When you have an emotion, see? And its immediate reaction is everywhere. Because the field is omnipresent. So the point is this. How do you enter his courts? With thanksgiving, or gates, with thanksgiving. And what are you in his courts with?
Praise.
Praise. What is that? Thanksgiving.
Emotion.
Emotion. See. You're entering the holy place. You're entering the field of all possibilities here. And it's the energy that literally, and the information is your hope. Faith is the substance. Oh, no, it says, no, this is really good. It says now faith is. So faith is present tense. See? It's in the now. And that's where all the possibilities are. So how do you know you have faith? By the emotion, your emotional response, see? You're not going to say thanksgiving unless you really believe it's true. You're not going to feel it. Are you? You're not going to feel that thanksgiving unless you really believe you have received it. And because you have, immediately you've gone in. Faith is the substance. In other words, emotion is what brings, it's the traction, the magnetic pull that pulls the particles out of the wave. It's the emotion that pulls the particle out. And the information that went in is your imagination picture. See, your imagination, the picture you make, because isn't that what they looked at? They looked at a what? A picture and had an emotional reaction, see. They just sent that information into the quantum. The electromagnetic response, see, into the field. That's why that I learned this from the Bible, and it worked. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. The hope is the blueprint. See, the hope is the information. See. And it's the evidence of things not seen with the physical eye. But because you saw it where? In your imagination. You didn't see it out here. You saw it in your imagination. Okay. And that's the only now. See, here's the other thing. They heard this the other day for the first time. You all heard it in my seminar, if you'll remember this. You remember I told you if you look at up in the sky and you see the Andromeda Nebula. That's 800, or actually I looked it up, it's about 1.2 million light years away. It took 1.2 million years for that light to travel at the speed of light to get to your eyes. So you're looking 1.2 million years in the past. By the time you look at it, that's how many years have gone by. Then you move it to the sun. The sun is 8 minutes and 20 seconds from you, light minutes. So when you look at the sun, you're not looking at the present. You're looking 8 minutes and 20 seconds into the past. Then you go so far as bringing your hand right here. The reflection of this hand hitting my eyes, going into my brain, takes so many light milliseconds, but it still has to be traveling light, doesn't it? So where's my hand, even though I'm looking right at it? In the past. And even if I do this, and I feel her, I touch her, that's not in the present either. Because what has to happen biologically? The nerve at the end of my finger has to do what? Send an electrical up to my brain to tell me I touched her. Well, however many light seconds that took, that's still in the past out here. You cannot.
You touched her before your finger did.
That means absolutely everything you experience with your senses are the last thing to experience creation. So this is past tense. But then I realized, listening to Joe, all your wiring is past tense, because how did it get there? It's past tense, isn't it? All those emotional responses, weren't they learned in the past? They've already happened. So if you are judging by your wiring, if you're in your wiring, you're in the past. If you're judging by out here, where are you? You're in the past. And if you're making all your decisions and you're there 95% of the time, guess what you keep recreating? The past.
That's why
And the past tense is relative. There has to be a present tense for there to be a past tense. It has to exist. Yeah, it does. Right there in your mind, see. In your imagination. That's the first place. That's present tense, see. Do you know you can't see anything in the physical realm unless you're wired to see it? You don't see with your eyes, you see with your brain. You see with the wiring in your brain. So here's how you create. This is so cool. It says that God created the world. When He created the world by faith, He framed it with the Word. He framed it. When we were talking about a picture earlier? Mm-hmm. And so you have neural circuits sitting waiting to be born in here and used as seeds. The sower sows the word. Oh, I think I heard a parable about that. So as soon as you speak things that are not as though they were, like Abraham, who was like God, this is why you choose to speak things into existence that you are not experiencing. You're speaking things that are not as though they were. Then you are actually triggering with a picture and with those words. Isn't that information? See? You're sprouting a new neuron. Creating something you've never been before. A new you. And you've got the axon and the dendrites and the synapses on it. And guess what the synapses are for? Your antenna to pick up what's in the field, just like the television picks up the picture out of the air. And your emotion tied to that is what pulls it through the dendrites. And now science is saying, then you project it into a three-dimensional hologram. This. And there's the past tense, see? This is the three-dimensional hologram of light. And the emotion is the way it's done. Emotion is the way it's done. This makes total sense to me now. And I did it from the Bible aspect. And it happened. I mean, when I danced before the Lord like old David, he danced before the ark naked. With all his might, you know. He didn't care what anybody thought. But this is why I'm saying, but some of your programming is rejecting this right now. You may be thinking, what? Because you're programmed that this was already out here. Or, you know. No, this is it. This is the way it works. And this is how you get it into existence. Now, it may take some time because your dendrites have, and you're going to have some fights from your other dendrites. You're going to have your fight from your programming. You're going to say, you know, I live in abundance. All my needs are met. You know, and I always quote the Bible, my needs are met according to my riches in my oneness with the Creator. But then you start looking at your bank account. Oh, you start thinking about the bill you got to pay. Where are all those things? They're in the reflection, the past. You don't change things, you don't change the effect with an effect. You don't change matter with matter. You got to get into the quantum, creative, all possibility field and create your own particles with your dendrites and your new. You got billions of them in here just sitting there, not even being used because you've been using the other ones all your life and nothing else. And it's less than 5% of what's out here. Because what you see is less than 1% of creation with your senses. Are you getting this at all? Are you seeing this at all?
I'm just hearing it for the first
I know you are, because I know you are.
Because I'm like, okay.
But
Keep it coming.
and I'm doing it. I do it. It just comes and goes, and then I'll add some more stuff to it. But it's guaranteed. This is like guaranteed. This is the way it works, and I know because I've done it. My music was a miracle, a creative miracle. I don't play any instruments. I couldn't sing when I was 28 years old. I couldn't sing. I could carry a tune barely. And I got up for 6 months and I said, I'm like Yoda. There is no try. There's only do. And so you can't just try this. You're almost guaranteed to fail. Trying, it shouldn't even be in your vocabulary. Unless it's like a piece of pie or something. You know, tasting it, you know, I'll try a piece of pie. But seriously. And then when I saw that's what Jesus did every morning, he got up early. It was his custom to go to the mountain. And then when he described the mountain in 1 Peter and what actually went on there, he was entering the kingdom. This is what we're talking about. He was going into the quantum realm. And then they asked him how to pray. Well, he says, well, the Lord's Prayer says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done from where? On earth from heaven. Bring it down. You know, you're bringing wave to particle. Jesus knew exactly what quantum physics was. Just didn't call it that. Because we use our own nomenclature now. Think about it. So, now, and the longer you stay in that realm and the longer you operate from that realm, Joe, I'll tell you what's so exciting. If you can't tell, I'm more excited. Every time I get these insights, then I read another chapter of Joe's book. He says the same thing. The exact same thing.
And that's exactly what we're talking about. When you're changing those programs, other ones will start to synapse, and then all of a sudden you've got the right book. You've already got everything that you need.
And it's
you don't have to keep going outside to seminars and shit.
And it's confirmation.
It's like, I already have access here. Or it can be a Google search, or it can be a call to a friend that she says something about a movie and you go, that triggers another memory. It's just creating all these new connections without the past stuff. It's all the more new,
or it's also
related,
or it's transforming your old into a new perspective too.
Awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, it's lifting a veil off of more potential.
You already have it.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what 1 Corinthians 3 says, that they had the veil over their face, which was the law.
Yes.
So every time they read Moses' law, it was a veil over them. They couldn't see into the holy place. But it says as soon as they turned from the law to God, which is the quantum. See, and you know what the word repent means? To turn 180 degrees. Did you know that? The word in the Bible, that repent. So guess what? You're looking at the law, not anymore. I'm going to turn 180 degrees, and I'm looking at God now. And it says, with unveiled face, because the veil's taken off, the law's gone, beholding as in a mirror the glory of God. I'm looking at... Well, who's in the mirror? Me. With unveiled face, I'm seeing, oh my gosh, God is in me. And it says, I'm transformed from glory to glory, which means more oneness. Remember, I taught you about oneness, right? The word glory before. Jesus said in John 17, I pray that you give them the glory you've given me, them and us in them, that they may be one as we are one. So glory means oneness. So what's falling short of the glory? See? Sin. Well, what's sin? Missing the mark, which means you're looking here and missing the mark. Are you following me? The Bible is true. The Bible is right on. So, with unveiled face, I'm beholding in the mirror. Now I'm being rewired and transformed. You know what it says? Pulling down strongholds in the Bible? That's your wiring. Pulling down strongholds with the power of the Most High God. He's transforming those things into Him. And it says, and then guess what you're becoming? What He is, which is pure love. 1 John 4:16, John says, and he was the love apostle. He said, anyone who is abiding in love is abiding in God, and God is abiding in him. So see, you're just absorbing all this. It's transforming you into His image. And then you become the city on the hill, the light of the world. See, the city. We're the living stones. And you know what we're doing right now? We're coming together. Right here. The living stones are hooking up. See? Just like Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, and any 2 agree in my name, it'll be done. Think about the power if both of you and I are completely unified, like they were at Pentecost in Acts. It says they were one accord. Do you know what Lynn McTaggart said about that? That word accord there means singing the same note. And what do you do when you're praising? See, when you're singing together. See, praising and singing. It's the vibration that makes it all happen. You're in unity. So you've built the habitation of God in the earth. Are you with me?
Amen.
And it's just not the act of singing, it's singing with emotion.
Oh, but that's what I mean, though. I'm not. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I was just...
Oh, yeah. And it's like...
Because singing like
No, you're right.
la la la
Thank you for
la,
pointing
la
that out.
is robot singing.
Yes.
Yes.
Autopilot singing. That's not creation singing.
This is my personal assistant. Exactly, though. I mean, I'm like...
Oh, it's the
but see, that's not... I don't do that anymore, so it's like I'm not aware of it. It's like I don't even know, I don't think about that.
What?
But you're exactly right. Singing without, just not, just mouth. I don't do that, you know. So, it's warm in here. So,
You're vibrating.
and I
Kelly,
apologize.
how are you feeling, huh? Oh, she's still cold. She needs some of our
I
heat.
apologize to you because you were right.
I don't have to be right.
No, I know, but I'm just saying you were aware. You were aware. Nothing wrong with that. I don't feel guilty about it. Oh, okay, now.
Travis, is there something, I'll just ask this real quick, if you don't want to answer, that's fine. In the Old Testament, where the people begged for a law, what should we do, what should we not do? But
Yes, they wanted
God
it.
didn't
Yes.
want to give them
He didn't want to
laws.
give them, but you're exactly right. That's wonderful. Exactly. It was in the book of Deuteronomy or Numbers. I can't remember which one.
Yeah.
Yes, they were the ones that he
They
did
begged
not.
for 'em.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. They didn't want the law.
Is that when the Ten Commandments
Or he
happened?
didn't want, yes. He didn't want to give the law.
And I think that goes back to what Charity was saying. When you realize that is who you are, that's scary.
Yes.
It's a lot easier to have a set of rules.
Exactly.
That say, okay, you do this and then
Or
you're
you've
good.
been
And it's
told what to
comfortable.
do.
Yeah.
But also, you know why? It's a victim mentality.
Yeah. Or to think
People would rather
power-
be a victim than be responsible.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is when you know that you are now consciously choosing to be a victim,
Yes.
oh, it really messes with your head.
But again, though,
Just saying.
but just remember this, though. When you're looking in the mirror again, there's no condemnation if you chose to be a victim for a while. You can get right back in.
Right.
There is no, there's another song I wrote. There is now, therefore, no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus or in the quantum. The law of the Spirit of life has set you free from the law of sin and death, which is the law. See, the physical law. And Adam, Paul in Romans 7 even described the whole thing. Some of you that know the Bible, he says, I find myself doing what I don't want to do, even though I'm trying to do the right thing. He talked about the struggle. Mm-hmm. But now listen to this. In the next verse he says, but it's not me. Mm-hmm. It's the sin in my flesh. Mm-hmm. You're programming, see? He was saying, it's not me. And even Joe says the programming that he talks about is the mind in the body. Your mind has become your body. And your body is running the show. With its addictions, it has all these things sticking out, wanting all those drugs from when you like to get into, these fights with your neighbor, or when you like to express your anger or like to gossip. Your body has been programmed with these drugs of those things. So it is not you. You realize you're not your body, you're not your brain, you're not your programming. You are an eternal being that just happened to have an earth suit on right now that has a brain in it to give to where your consciousness comes through. It's none of this shit is you. Where does it all go back to? Dust. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if you're identifying with your body and your brain, you're dust. Is that what you want to be? You want to be dust?
Like being toast.
Yeah. So, and this is another thing you have to get past. You are not your programming. You're not even your personality. No. That's another created definition that we need to rewire. No. That's just who I am. I'm shy. That's just me. Well, that's you right now because of your programming. You're a God being. And God beings aren't shy. And they're not boastful. Did you know that's the actual meaning of meekness? Who's going to inherit the earth? The meek. You know what real meekness is? It's not being a victim and putting yourself down, oh, I'm not worthy. Because who are you still talking about? Self. Your mind is still on self when you're putting yourself down. What's your mind on when you're lifting yourself up and saying how great I am? That's boasting, and that's on self. But when you put the ego on the cross, put the self, Jesus says, pick up your cross and follow me. He's talking about dying to all that shit you think you are. Kill it. Put it to death. And you will resurrect and allow God to live through you. You're not being, you don't boast. It's all in God. It's God going through you now. You're out of the way. You don't have to boast, or you don't have to you finally realize what's going on here. And you have all the powers that Jesus had. You have, and even more, he said. You even have more. Are you following me? Am I getting too crazy and wild here?
No. I had the revelation this morning that I just need to get over myself. And
that's what they said in Joe's. That's what Joe says in the book too.
Exactly.
Lynn McTaggart said it to one of the guys in her intention groups. He couldn't get well. He was like, just couldn't get over it. He's sick, and he's been going and going and going. And finally she told him, she said, just get over yourself, Bill. Get over yourself. And he finally got over himself and started praying for somebody else, and he got healed. He stopped thinking about his own disease. See, if you put your attention, wherever you put your attention, what are you putting? Your energy. So if all you're thinking about is your disease, what are you doing? Every time somebody got healed in Joe Dispenza's workshops, he said they even forgot they were sick, and then they got healed. They took their total attention and power off of the description of what was wrong with them and put it on, the quantum realm, and got into and finally they just forgot who they were, and they got well. Because it's all wiring. It's all programming. It's not you. See, that's the other thing we do wrong. I'm going to catch this disease. Well, what are you trying to catch it for? If somebody throws it at you, don't catch it.
You catch the idea
Why
of it.
are you
what
trying?
that can involve. Ooh,
Why are you catching it? If I don't want to catch something, I'm not going to catch it. But we got these wiring mentalities that our energies are creating everything. Is this motivating you all? Getting up and getting into an hour and praising and appreciating the God that's permeating every cell and molecule of your body already? And if you just open the door, he'll just transform it.
It's making me aware of who I am and who I'm not.
Yes, and that's what you have to know. That's really what you have to realize. All right, think about this. When you're in your frontal lobe, Joe says, you're the observer, and you're looking at what you're doing. Well, then you can't be what you're doing. You're the observer. How can you observe? What? No. If you can observe it, it's not you. Now, this is why I explained that you are a spirit that has a soul living in a body. The soul is the programming. It's mind, will, and emotions. That's what suke in the Greek in the Bible says. Where we get the word for psychic or psychology or psyche. So, it's like God says, okay, you got all this power coming from me. Now I'm going to give you this brain that is actually like a virtual reality mask. Okay? I mean, have you ever seen people wearing the virtual reality masks? And really, it's the same thing, because once you're in it, don't you only see about 180 degrees or 200 degrees? You can actually see a little bit past 180 when you have those masks on. But I'm thinking, I was sitting there the other day and going, oh my God, that's all I can see right now. I've got a virtual reality mask on right now. The only thing is I can program it. See, the brain, whole purpose of it is to program any reality you want. And they all live in that quantum realm. All you got to do is create the neurotransmitter antennas to pull it out. Now, think about this. Jesus said, he called them logs. He said, you can't take the splinter out of your brother's eye because you got a log in your own. Well, he was talking about these. That's what they look like in there. They look like trees pulled out of the ground. The roots and the limbs. And then it hit me. How does it work out here with trees? The leaves, what do the leaves do? They take light and turn it into material. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And they make it physical. They make it particle. So guess what your trees do in here, except yours are pulling from the light from the quantum field. There's so many eye-opening metaphors in the Bible and all over the place. In fact, everywhere. The message is in everything. It's amazing. And you know what else I learned? I read about, they're called Hebbian connections in the brain. Said Einstein when they took his brain out. Most all of us have, we have left and right brain. And the frontal lobes aren't connected in front. His were. His were connected by the Hebbian, and that guy, his name was Heb. He's the one that you get the phrase, neural circuits that fire together, wire together. You've heard that probably 100 times if you've listened to any of this stuff. Joe talks. But you know what? You know what he was doing? What was his famous saying? Imagination is more important than knowledge. So his right brain, and then he was going over to his left brain. See, he was going and making connections because he was imagining and creating, imagining and creating, imagining and creating. See, he was pulling things with his imagination. He sat on a beam of light from the time he was 18 to 26 years old, looking at a mirror, asking himself, "Will I see my reflection in the mirror?" Because if I'm traveling the speed of light, the reflection would have to go faster than the speed of light to reflect off the mirror. He thought about that for 8 years. He was a 26-year-old patent clerk in Germany, and then all of a sudden he had a revelation, and he wrote down E equals MC squared. So he went from the right brain to what?
Excuse me.
Left brain, and wrote the formula. See, this whole brain is supposed to work in total sync, but we've got so many separate neural nets. Nothing's connected because your knowledge, like I told you before, our educational system has hurt us more than anything because it departmentalizes everything. Separates and then, you know what? I was talking about that. I heard Joe say it yesterday. Again, about the brain being that way, and it pulls you in all directions, and none of it makes sense together. But it all can. And so, when I made a connection with the Bible and quantum physics, a Hebrew connection went from that neural net to my thinking in the Bible. And then it went from that to the brain science that I learned. And now I'm starting to get all these things connecting. It's a literal connecting when the light bulb goes on, is what Joe says. The light bulb will go on, and it's a flash of light in your brain. Literal. And boom, you get an insight. See? And you can only get those from the frontal lobe. That only happens when you're observing your neural nets. And you go, this is over here. This is over here. Look at this. Trees and neural circuits. They're the same thing. Photosynthesis. Pulling light out of the thin air. Pulling light out of the quantum realm. Oh my gosh. But see, all you got to do is stop. Okay, this is a big thing today. I'm sorry. Are y'all okay with going on a little bit more? I mean, if you want me to shut down, it's almost 10 to 12.
I don't have to leave till 2.
Here was some. When I get an insight now, I'm finally doing something like I'm actually getting at my computer and I'm typing it down. It's like, of course, my fingers aren't fast enough, but. And I can type 7 words a minute, but it's like it's just like I can't go fast enough here, and I make mistakes and all that. But what I realized was, and I just lost it.
We were talking about separation.
Oh yes, thank you. The big thing that came to me was when I was getting this download about definitions. See, what we do is we have hard boundaries around definitions. Like a disease. We define it, and the moment you define it and put it in the dictionary, boom, you've separated it from other things. We're really good at separating stuff, aren't we? Mm-hmm. All the time. And we think we're smart.
Don't you think?
See, we're really smart because we separated it, and we're going to treat it like a machine, like back in Descartes and Newton, instead of a living, all-connected thing. Let's separate and define. Here's what I want you to do. Can you hold your thought for a second? Mm-hmm. Here's what I want you to do, and this is what I realized. You need to make everything you have defined, and there's nothing wrong with it, if you keep open to the reality that it's all porous. It's all connected to the field. See, it's coming out of the field. See? And it's a form, but it's not hard written in stone. It's written in energy. Are you following me? It's not written in stone. when you have a definition of something. It's energy being molded into this. So start seeing your definitions as boundaries that are becoming opaque and porous and, kind of nebulous instead of hardcore, separate from this. And see things flowing from one thing to the other. Isn't that how nature works?
Absolutely.
Coming out of the ground into the tree roots, up into the tree, out into the leaves, and the leaves are pulling stuff out of the sun, and then the apples fall down and rot, and they fertilize the ground, and cows take a shit and fertilize the ground, and it's like it's all going. There's no boundaries. There's no separateness. There's energy flowing continuously, see? And that's where we got to remove our boundaries between one another, see? So the energy, just like we shared today, we shared energies and you felt it, see? And what are we doing? We're combining those molecules, or atoms, aren't we? That's what we're doing, see? And then I thought about the Bible. It says, Paul said, I pray that you comprehend the love of God. He said, with all the saints. He didn't just say the love of God. He said the love of God with all the saints. And be able to comprehend the height and the breadth and the depth and the width. And then he said, then you will be filled up with all the fullness. See? So then I got to thinking, he just described the New Jerusalem in Revelation. It's a cube. It's 144 cubits by 144,000 cubits by 144,000 cubits by 144. It's a cube. And that's the city. It's a metaphor. So we're building the New Jerusalem. We're building the city of peace. What did the Beatitudes say the sons of God would be? Who would be called the sons of God? The peacemakers. See, all the Bible is happening right now. This New Jerusalem's coming down right now. Did you know that? Yeah. We're doing it right now. We're building that description in there. And the river of life runs through it. It says there are trees planted. The tree of life, that's us. Because aren't we the trees? Now here's another cool thing that I never could understood before, now it hits me. Do you remember the blind man Jesus healed? Mm-hmm. Told him to go, he told him to put mud on him, he spit on the mud with his spit, and that has a Jewish thing going there. The firstborn is supposed to be healing in their spittle. But anyway, and then he says, go over and wash it out. And you know what the first thing he saw when he washed his eyes?
Reflection?
No. He saw men as trees.
Oh,
yeah. And you know what David says? Those who meditate on my word day and night are like a tree planted by the rivers of living water, whose leaf does not wither and who bears its fruit in its season. We're the tree of life for the rest of the world. And what's our fruit? Love, joy, peace. The fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, long-suffering. It's all together. Did I pour out too much today?
Ever.
What chapter is that in?
Which one?
The man and the trees.
Just Google it. Just say,
Okay.
when Jesus healed the blind man and he saw trees.
Okay.
Saw men as trees. I don't have that scripture. But like I said, this has opened the floodgates for me. And realizing that this is going to all be true. And that the Bible really is got everything in there. Even heaven and hell. But it's all right now.
A couple of questions. Okay. Number one, this cube thing, I missed that.
It's just it's a metaphor for perfection. when it's in a perfect dimension.
Uh-huh. Okay. And the other thing was, I was going to say is, you know, you were talking about departmentalizing things and separation and all that. And I think the separation, didn't it start in the garden
When they,
with Adam and Eve?
yeah,
And they separated themselves from God.
yep,
And, you know, then after that, everything was separate.
that's when it
And I
happened.
think what we need to understand is there is no separation from God. We can't get away from it, even if we want to, except for changing our vibration, our energy, or whatever you
Well,
call it.
it's whatever you're putting your attention on
Yeah,
is where your energy goes.
that's right. That's why, I mean, we cannot separate ourselves. We can't separate ourselves from love unless we consciously do it or unconsciously
Right.
do it. You know what I mean? It's like
Well,
an emotional
right.
response or,
Well, it's back to your
With fear.
programming getting triggered.
yeah,
Is what
When
it is.
you're in fear, you're separating yourself.
yeah,
Yes, you are. And fear is what brings you.
back to that.
Now,
level.
do you know what the word heaven in the Bible actually means? Expansion. The Greek word for heaven is expansion. And see, contraction happens on the other side, when you're facing your ego side. The thing I was going to show you on this is they've already seen it at her house, but I just used a metaphor of what are you plugged into. And you use your frontal lobes. Are you plugged into your ego? Are you plugged in to this quantum field here, God? That's where your free will is. See, in your frontal lobes, when you're an observer, then you choose life or death, blessing or cursing. And and one of them is heaven, and the other one's hell. One of them is destruction, one of them is life. See, what I'm doing right now, I'm having fun with myself. Also doing this. Remember, I told you I had that routine I do for an hour. I'm busting that up. And it's hard. But I had that routine every morning. I'm purposely doing things out of order. Because I want to be a new person. See? Because if you start back with one neural circuit, neural net, it can lead to the others. See? I'm not saying it has to. I'm just saying I'm practicing pruning. See, Joe does a video on the pruning. I wanted to show you, but I can't. Where he actually shows the brain pruning when you don't respond to those other thoughts. Like I was talking about earlier, I'm abundant, but then I got this thought comes in, but what's in your bank account? Well, he says, all you do is say, no, I'm not listening to that anymore. You reject it and go on. I'm abundance. And he says you keep rejecting, and pretty soon it physically loses its glue and falls away. But that's because you're being an observer. You're observing your reaction. See, most people just are a pinball. As soon as they hear that, they bounce off of that and go, oh gosh, yes, and gas has gone up. Oh my God. And, you want me to eat well, but it costs more to eat a salad than it does a burger. Well, if you're living in abundance, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's in the bank. Why do you store up for yourselves treasures on earth? You need to be hooked up to where abundance comes out constantly. And it's as easy as putting your mind there. There's no going to. You don't have to go to church and get on your knees and. Because Jesus said if you go here or there, they say it's here or there. Don't listen to him. It's everywhere. Does that make sense?
But in the beginning stages, for some people, they need those things to create certain feelings.
Yes.
To get inspired, but.
Well, and all you have to do is start praising and thanksgiving.
Right.
I'm going to show you this. We'll close here. I want to show you this vibration thing that Joe made, the chart and the other thing. I never did show you that. I showed you with Charity. Can you come around the back here? So, here's an example. He just has all of these relationships that you have with stuff. And these are like he's elongated your sphere. and there's overlapping with those other things. And that's because you're sharing energy with those things. And all of those things are pulling away from your creative self.
Kind of like, I thought of them as like elastic, like with hooks.
Yeah.
And the tension can be more or less.
But the big one, yeah, the big one, the one I like is this one. Because this is science here. He measured, with electroencephalograph and the actual wave of each emotion. See. Now I want you to look. What's the highest? Starting to get you to the highest thing up here? Thanksgiving and
Joy.
no, right here. Appreciation.
Appreciation.
Thanksgiving. How do you enter the gates?
Thanksgiving, appreciation,
How do you? Yeah, in the courts. You know what appreciation is?
praise and glory.
It's praising somebody. Praising God. So the Bible's right. I got one of the highest vibrations right there, and then I enter into what? These others, see, and eventually bliss.
Is that a flat line?
That's
I
what-
couldn't tell what-
Yes, actually it is.
Joy.
Well, the point is, though, when you break the speed of light barrier, I saw this on a video where they showed what happens. The dimension goes to a flat line.
Ascension.
See, all of these vibrations are in the creation 3D realm. Once you get out of there into the quantum, there's no time, there's no space, there's nothing to measure. There's nothing to measure there. You can't measure it. It's all possibility. It's all probability. So it's flat line in a good way. See? But this is flat line in the wrong way. See, when you're going down here, now this is what I put on my thing, and then Joe did it, basically. See, this is ascending into heaven, just like Jesus did every morning. But if you're in your programming, guess where you are? You're in the pit of hell. And all this is destruction to your body, everything. People are weeping and wailing and gnashing their... Don't you see people doing that in the world? Mm-hmm. Because, and here you're one with God. Guess what, when you go down here? You're separate.
Separate.
Would flatlining and death mean that you are no longer
Yeah, that's true.
separate?
Yeah, because you aren't. Because you don't die. See, that's the other definition you need to quit saying. You do not die. You just change form. You need to eliminate that from your vocabulary except for your ego. You need to kill your ego.
Put it in check. You still need your ego to function.
Well,
For your normal daily.
your ego is your servant. It should be your servant. Your ego should be your servant.
Personal assistant.
Yeah. And you know what? The ego would be a lot happier because then it wouldn't be frustrated. Because it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing instead of trying to be everything.
Instead of trying to fit in to programming.
You talk about free. You get there, you're free. See? Well, I dumped it all on you today.
That's all right. Hallelujah.
That's all right. We'll be processing.
So I remember
Processing and processing.
the picture that I showed.
I did
Mount
record
St.
it, so
Francis.
if I can get that to where you can
Oh,
get
good.
it. Go ahead.
The thing on one end it said service, and then I walked to the middle, and it had a sun with a moon and an eclipse, and it had the 4 elements around it, and then you walk through to the other side, and it said fulfillment. So on one side it's service, and you go through the elements and through the sun and the moon to fulfillment.
Do you need to go?
It just was like,
Okay, because I'm going to share something else with you.
I'm like, okay, because that's another thing. I've been not doing as much work so that I can develop a new prospect of my work, and I've been giving a lot of time to my relationship. So it's like I've not been feeding the be creative inventor in myself. And I was thinking, oh, well, am I doing too much? Am I doing, I need to figure out what my priorities are. And then, service will equal fulfillment on my path yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, back to work.
And that's what Lynn McTaggart would say with her groups. See, when they're serving others and praying for others, that's when they got healed.
Well, and that's what this group is about to me. So many people want to learn the energy work that I do, and I'm like, and I've been sending them to Reiki because that's the easiest thing that's been around here. But I'm just like, that's not what I do. I do that blended with everything else I've learned all my life, and I just feel like this is what's going to present my.
Right.
I have faith that you've already done my research for me. And you have connected me.
Now see, this
That's
is
what personal assistants are for, right?
Yeah, we're each other's personal
That's what I'm
assistants.
trying to say. One of the things I didn't get to that I was going to talk about in that, what happened with you up here and what I'm doing right now from my giving part of what I'm doing. This is the Bible again. It's 1 Corinthians, same book that has the love chapter. It says, you know, the body is not separated. The hand can't say to the foot that I don't need you. And then it goes on in the 12th chapter, I think it's the 12th one right before 13, it lists all the gifts of the Spirit. Somebody has a word of knowledge for someone. Somebody prays for or has the gift of healing. And I'm not talking about they have that gift of healing. I'm talking about they're giving the gift of healing to somebody taught this correctly finally about the gifts of the Spirit. Instead of saying like, oh, I got the gift of healing, I can heal people. No, the gift is the healing to the person that's getting healed. Or it also says some are teachers, some are prophets, some are, you know, it just names, but it also, Paul's real clear. If the body's not united, though, that can't share the gifts. The Spirit can't flow through to help everybody.
And then you have to get rid of old programs.
Yes. And he even said there are some sick and dying among you because you've not rightly discerned the body. Literally getting sick and dying because you're not rightly discerning the body. See? And then he went progression-wise. At the very first chapter that he goes, some say I'm of Cephas. Some say I'm of Paul. Some say I'm a Methodist. Some say are you following me? A Baptist. He even said some say I'm of Christ. I said, wait a minute, Paul, what's that mean? Oh, because if you talk that way, you're still separating yourself. You're saying, oh, I'm of Christ. You know, you're not even. That's not even in your. There should be no category.
No brain.
No, and know what he called them? He says, you're babes, carnal. I can't give you meat. I got to give you milk. You can't get this stuff. He said, you're backbiting one another and devouring one another. I'm quoting Scripture. And like I said, some of you are sick and some of you are dying because you're not rightly discerning the body. Then he goes on and describes the gifts that you can get if you're one. You can pray. People will have a gift of healing. Someone will have a word of knowledge. Someone will have a word of wisdom. Someone will be a teacher. Someone will be a prophet. And everybody will benefit. And guess what makes it work? The next chapter, 13. The love chapter. Faith, hope, and love. But love is the greatest of all. Because God is love and God is a unifier. God is wholeness. So when he gets involved, guess what happens? Wholeness. Can't be separate when wholeness is in charge. Just can't be separate. So I'm done judging. You know, I don't want to be separate. And I'm done defining. I'm done with definitions. Done with it. I'm just going to see them as markers in knowledge to learn more and make things fit together. More like puzzle pieces. How about that? Puzzle pieces that fit together. Come back together. But absolutely nothing is separate. I said I was done earlier, didn't I?
You're never done.
I guess not. Well, thank you all for putting up with me.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving us your time.
And I set up all this stuff. Didn't need it. She knew that already.
Oh, is that what you're saying she was right about, that you wouldn't need it?
Well, she knew. She knew. She knows me better than I do. She's only known me for a couple of weeks here.
Kelly's very, very wise. And
Intuitive, I was going to say.
But both.
Maybe.
I said and intuitive.
Today in this moment I am. Because I have all of you.
Brings out your gift, doesn't it?
That's
There you go.
maybe.
So yes, I guess, Becky, we are having church. You said, am I
No,
start?
we graduated.
Well, we gotta get up and dance then if that's what
Well, that was, you know,
And this is.
that's something we're going
Since
to
I
do
didn't go to
eventually.
basketball
But we know
games,
the
I was
truth, though.
planning ahead.
No, I'm just saying this is the true way they did it. In Acts, they didn't build a building and organize and name it.
No,
They met in homes.
it was never supposed to be that way.
They met in
The
homes.
church
Oh my
is the
goodness,
people,
where are we?
not a building.
Somebody's house. And they made sure everyone's need was met. Yeah. And no one was without. See, this is the real thing. This is a real thing. The other is a forgery, counterfeit, a distraction, man-made religion. See, I'll tell you what religion is your programming. You know what the word, have you ever heard the word, they're really religious about that? Mm-hmm. That means it's a practice.
It's
They
a
do it
law.
all the time.
Call it organized religion.
Yeah, but no, I'm not even talking about your program. I'm not talking about religion now. I'm talking about you.
Work out.
Yeah. I'm religious about working out.
Yeah.
See, being religious is something you're very avid and you do all the time. Now, that can be on purpose and be good, though. It doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
But it also can be your programming.
And you stop your creating.
Yes. Your programming can be your religion. For most people, since 95% of the time they're in it, that's what their real religion is their program. They won't give up any of this stuff, man. Tell them to get off Facebook and see what they do.
We're trying to get on Facebook.
I know I am having a real struggle with Facebook, but I know why. So I'm enjoying the struggle now. But like most of my friends, except for Kelly, are on Facebook, and so I've wondered since the beginning. I'm like, I'm not sure if I want you on Facebook because I know what it can do. And I'm like,
there's
I
never
will
been a
help
problem
you.
with me wanting to be on Facebook.
Right, and that well, you
Yeah,
had mentioned
desire
it.
to be there.
Yeah.
Yes, because I thought, well, maybe, and then I'm like,
Yeah. And I was like, if you want to, let me know, but I don't know what my opinion is of that, so I'll help you if you want to, but that's totally up to you. I'm not going to talk you into it. It would help me it would have helped me at the time, but now that I've gotten off of it, I'm texting more, emailing more, seeing people more, so I've really reaped the benefits of eliminating or reducing greatly it from my life.
Personally,
But
I
now
can.
that we've started this up again, I'm like, I can see a need for a group. Like, wouldn't it be great to introduce everybody through like a Facebook group from all of the groups that we're doing, so people can discuss? And that's where I see the power of
Well,
Facebook.
I was getting ready to say,
Because like a group email just doesn't have the same like capabilities of organization.
but also, but what I was going to say is Facebook's like anything else. It can be bad or good.
Yeah.
I mean, because it can be used. I mean, when I'm on there and have been on there, I use it to. Well, you've seen. I post stuff I talk about right here, and that's about it. And I don't have anybody that I'm following that I would want to bond with, like up here. I don't want to share that energy. I'm not sorry. Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's what I do. But I also realized I did have an addiction to it. I was there. You can still have an addiction to a thing that can be used for good, because it's pulling me away from my. It was pulling me away from my morning stuff. Where, gosh, I'd rather be on this internet. And what did Jody or what's her name used to call it? The internet.
Yeah.
See, I'd rather be on that one than the internet.
Yeah.
See,
Right.
that's the other thing I've learned. There's all kinds of parallels out here of what's fake and a forgery of reality, what's real. You know?
Yeah, when Joni needed something or
Joni,
whatever, she put it out on the internet, and it would come to her. You know, she was magical about that.
Well, she was hardwired that way. She wired her brain to believe that
Yeah,
and to work
she
that way.
did believe it.
So she was tapping into that, you know. So anyway,
Y'all can do that.
yes, we all have every power that's possible. Just got to practice,
And expect it.
expect it, and
Expecting it and
be
looking for it.
and be thankful for it already. Be thankful that it's already done. You know. All right.